So, earlier today, when I was walking around in my office, I saw something and I believe you can see it up here. This one. That's a calendar. It's a 2022 calendar, which is only opened the first page. That is in January and February 2022. Since then, we have never used that calendar. And this got me thinking. A few years ago, a calendar was a very vital document that everyone had to have, whether in the office, at home, or any other place. Today, people rarely buy calendars. Actually, 99% of the calendars that are in our houses and offices, we have been given as a promotional material. I'm not also a great fan of movies, but I have watched most of the James Bond films. And in those James Bond films, because they started being aired back in 1950s and 60s, back then they were using a helicopter with a cameraman coming on board so that they can be able to film the entire movie. Today, you don't need a helicopter, you don't need a pilot, you don't need all that machinery in the sky. You just need a drone operated by one person. And this got me thinking, if some years ago a calendar was so important, today it is least important. Not that we don't use calendars, but they are on our smartphones. And so I thought about the smartphone and I realized one smartphone has taken over the roles of more than 100 gadgets. Let's give an example. If you have a smartphone, you don't need a calendar, you don't need an alarm, you don't need a radio, you don't need a TV, you don't need a mirror. There's an app called Mirror which you can go and use. Once you download, you use your phone as a mirror. You don't need a notepad because your phone has a notepad. You don't need a pen. The smartphone you can type on the smartphone. You don't need a voice recorder. Yeah, you don't even an audio or a tape recorder. So just one smartphone has collapsed so many other industries. Go back to the James Bond film. The pilot who used to air those films, today they would be jobless. The same case with the assistant crew. And so this got me thinking. The world is evolving and changing very fast. Like two decades ago, we can count up to 100 gadgets, which have all of them been fitted into a smartphone. So if you don't keep reinventing yourself, you'll be overtaken by circumstances. You have seen some people who have been working in a certain company for 20, 30 years. Then they complain because a fresh graduate comes and gets employed and starts earning more than 2 or 3 times what they are earning. The problem is that you could be working for a very long period of time, but you are not reinventing yourself. And so the company owners realize these fresh graduates comes with fresh ideas, new ways of doing things, yet you are still there in what we would call your analog thinking. So this is a challenge to anyone who is watching this video. Regardless of how important you think or you feel you are, if you don't keep reinventing yourself, you'll be overtaken by events. And let me give you an example of those batteries. There was a very popular company called Eveready. I don't know if it's still there in Nakuru. It was so popular, but today it is no longer popular. Why? Because they failed to reinvent themselves. There's another company which was very popular worldwide called Kodak. They used to produce those films. You know those films where a photographer in the village would come and take photos and then bring those photos after a week. Warn to you if something happened to that tape. That company called Kodak, including with their analog cameras, they are no longer in the market. Why? Because they failed to reinvent themselves. So this is a challenge. Keep reinventing yourself, no matter how smart you think you are, even if you are the best in the industry. If you don't reinvent yourself, you'll perish. Thank you so much.